speaking of being further down the road, I would really love to just kind of step out of the way and give you a little space here, and I want you to speak directly to our audience and say, okay, the big question on the table is, if you were going to do this again tomorrow, if you were going to start something tomorrow, walk us through kind of the 2 or 3 just foundational steps that you need to take. And I'm kind of curious what you would do. I mean, I want to default. You would just be a coach, but I don't want to answer this for you. You tell us what you would do.
Well, I'm going to start by giving you 3 great book titles. They happen to be mine, but they're good titles, and I'll just riff from there, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So one of my books, I think it was book number 5, was Stop Waiting for It to Get Easier, right? And people are waiting for the stars to align for everything. They're waiting to be able to answer every what if question, like, what if it doesn't work? What if I make this investment? What if I start this business and it goes wrong? Stop waiting for it to get easier. Start right now where you are and start moving forward. The next thing is, and this isn't a book title, but stop swimming in the shallow end of the pool. All the big growth happens when you step way outside your comfort zone, which is usually in the deep end of the pool. As far as things that hold people back that I wish I didn't do in the early days, number 1, perfectionism and giving a damn what other people think about what you do and how you're doing it. So I learned a very important lesson in my early days as a newsletter marketer from Dan Kennedy. I became the newsletter guru. Seems like a silly title. I know my neighbor at the time, who was a chemist, always laughed, "Oh, the newsletter guru." We see ourselves on our tractors, so we got our lawn, and that's okay, because my neighbor was not my customer. But when I became the newsletter guru and started marketing myself in a very out there way, in a kind of flamboyant, but like I'm doing now with video and stuff, I started growing, and I became far less concerned about the opinion of other people, especially those that weren't my customers, right? 2 more things I'll give you, and I can give you more if you want to keep going, but 2 more things. Number 1, be willing to do massive action simultaneously, not sequentially. Most people, they go to first grade, second grade, third grade, all the way up. But you don't have to climb the ladder of success 1 rung at a time. You can climb multiple rungs. You can leapfrog, right? Nobody says you have to earn your first 6 figures before you get to 200,000. I mean, if you're doing 80,000, why not? Don't stop at 600,000. Let's build $150,000 or $250,000 business, right? So you can leapfrog, and sometimes that requires you to do things, what I call massive action, operating on multiple fronts, but in doing it simultaneously, not sequentially. That was one of the big things early on in our conversation, Kevin. I told you about a new client, been with me 30 days. In 30 days, we launched a new coaching program. He was so far out of his comfort zone that literally the night, which was just this past Tuesday, as you and I are talking, he was getting ready to launch, and we hadn't created the link where people were going to sign up. He wasn't 100% sure of the price. We were throwing everything out there, and he's got a very high 5-figure coaching program now because he was willing to. Again, I'm going to refer to Dan Kennedy. Dan Kennedy says success leaves a messy kitchen. He was okay flying out there, or jumping and learning how to fly. The last thing I'll say to you, and this is specifically for, I guess, entrepreneurs, you will earn a significantly higher income for who you are, not what you do. You'll earn a significantly higher income, not for who you are, more for who you are than what you do. So it's not about the deliverable. It's always going to be about who you are. And this really speaks to the whole celebrity culture that we live in. When I had cancer, I didn't necessarily say, well, what doctor, what surgeon's available and when is he running a special? It's like, who is the best surgeon that handles melanoma? And that's where I went. Stephanie, one point a few years ago, got a spiral fracture slipping on the ice. We didn't go, look for a 2-for-1 special. We were recommended to the guy who specialized, an orthopedic surgeon who specialized in spiral fractures. That's where we went. If you want to work with a business coach and you want to have a 6-figure or multiple 6-figure business, or you want to have multiple businesses, don't hire somebody with a flashy website who's read a lot of books and can regurgitate somebody else's information. For heaven's sakes, go work with somebody who's actually done what it is that you want to do, and do what they say.
Yep.
And if part of that, to come back to you'll learn significantly more. If part of that is becoming an author and giving yourself a brand and a handle. See, there's so many business coaches. So I was the newsletter guru for, a good 8-10 years. Then I became the dream business coach. Because if you want to have a business, why not have a dream business that helps make you, it makes it possible to live your dream lifestyle. So that became my whole brand.
Yeah.
I'm not just Jim Palmer, the small business coach. I'm the dream business coach.
Exactly.
So sometimes it requires you to step up on that platform and say, this is who I am. And people will be attracted to that.
Mm-hmm. So if you're going to do it tomorrow, what would you do?
I would do everything I did in the last almost 20 years, but I would speed it the hell up because
20
again,
days or 20 months.
I know. And you know what, there's an expression, and I say it all the time, regret tastes like crap. So to the best of my ability, I don't want to have regrets moving forward. Of course, every day, we probably have something we regret thinking or doing.
Yeah.
But when I look back on how many years, especially in my first business and then getting going, and I really played smaller ball than I was capable of. I know that because I'm playing bigger ball now, if that makes sense. Sure. So if I was to start over, it's kind of like, what would you say to your 18-year-old self? Geez, I wish I had more confidence. I should have just asked more girls out. I don't know. There's but you can't go back.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the things that the differences between the top 1% or even the top 10% in any niche industry or even the country, these people are willing to do something that these people, big group, are not willing to do, Kevin, right?
You're exactly right.
There's I know we're getting short on time, but when I talk to certain entrepreneurs and they want to have big growth, and some people say, yeah, but I really want to have a business where I have work-life balance. That's a big thing. And I totally get that. But one of the things I'll say, well, let me tell you something about being an entrepreneur and going after significant growth. Let's say it's Thursday, it's 5 o'clock, you've made a commitment, you're going to leave at 5 o'clock every day, no matter what, you're going to go check into Little League or dance recital or whatever. And you've been trying to get this big client. You've been working on this client for months and months and months. He's out of town. Your phone rings, it's 4:58, and this prospective client that is a game changer. If you land this client, it's going to change your business. And he says, hey, it's Jim, it's Brad. I'm just calling. I didn't call you earlier because I actually flew into town. I had a meeting and I was going to fly right out, but they just canceled my flight. I have to stay overnight. I know you've been after me. You want to talk to me about what you can do and how you can help me. Do you want to have dinner and tell me what you can do for me? What are you going to do in that? Oh, I'm sorry, Brad. I'm going to go to Little League. Now, some people may do that. And whatever you decide, whatever your priorities, that's fine with me. But what I'm saying is if you're seeking fast, massive growth in business, you're going to have to make some tough choices as a small business owner. Yep. And again, whatever way you go is okay because that's your decision. But I'm telling you, the perfect balance and the perfect business does not exist.
Yeah.